The thing I did at the time I learned how to write, there weren't any books on screenwriting. And the thing I did is, well, you know, the first thing I did is I got a copy of The Deer Hunter, the script, and at that time I had a typewriter, and I sat down and I retyped the whole script of The Deer Hunter. And it was always as though it was me who wrote it, you know, and afterwards I thought, geez, I've just written The Deer Hunter. Okay, yeah, I think it's important for people to really have some kind of a system for ideas, because, I mean, as you can see here, I mean, this represents almost all the ideas I'm working on over a period of 6 months or so. The rest of the file cabinets have more ideas. Yeah, this is something I learned from episodic TV, but I mean, but these are the projects. There's kind of a pattern to this, but you know, I guess starting off over here, there's just some contacts. There's some people there's a woman who I optioned a script, or I optioned her short story. She's a novelist. Something else I do is I option stories and books for myself to write a screenwriter. For me, I work from 9 to 5. You know, it's almost like, it's an office job. At 9 o'clock, the first thing I do is I check email, and then I put it aside, and then I start to write. If I'm working on a script or working on a treatment, from 9 o'clock to about to 10:30 or 11, or sometimes 11:30. I mean, that's as long as I will actually be working on the keyboard of a computer. I'll be writing. And then I stop for lunch. But then after that, for the rest of the day, and probably the rest of the day till I fall asleep, I'm working out ideas. I'm looking, I'm clipping articles, I'm checking my files, I'm going over old stories. I'm coming up with something else to write the next day. So that's the Hollywood sign. That's, you know, the interesting story about that happened in the 20s is there was an actress who was, I guess kind of a lesson to all of us. There was an actress, she tried to make it in Hollywood. She came from somewhere in Kansas, and she wasn't able to make it, and so she climbed up on the letter H, and she jumped and she died. And so ever since then, it's been sort of a legend amongst actors, and I guess for most people in this town, that you have to be careful how seriously you sort of take the business. I start with an idea and a character, a situation and a character. And I take that and I start to look for a story to surround it. You know, the story is the formula part. The hard thing is to find an interesting situation and a character. In developing the story, it gets into the formulas: first act, second act, third act, and that's not hard to follow. I mean, anybody can learn that. The hard thing is creating a character that's really interesting.
It's a challenge for us to find strong enough material. I mean, 24 movies it's a lot of material we have to go through to find the right project that will work for the channel and work for it.
Are they looking, or would they be interested in anything for older people? Like, I'm talking people who are retired people. There's a lot of these old guys in their 70s who used to play in bands. They have these stories of the legends of everybody, with Jerry Lewis, with Sinatra, with Dean Martin, with Sammy Davis. You know, it's kind of like the Big Chill, like at 70. You come here, and all of a sudden, the heating bill is almost free. You know, there isn't any kind of change of clothes. For a long time, I would always, each morning I'd say, "Now I'm not sure as to what I should wear going to a meeting." But after a while, you realize that every day is the same. Every day is the same. There's a saying from William Faulkner. He said something like, in California, every day is the same. There's nothing that really happens. There's a leaf that falls, and one day you wake up and you're 60 and you realize that the only thing you've learned is how to make a left-hand turn on Santa Monica. You have to set a routine for yourself so that every day it's the same thing. And it's, again, just like exercise. If you miss it, then there's a tremendous amount of guilt you start feeling that you should be writing. But there's a lot of discipline. If there's anything that's a quality to learn how to write that you need, it is discipline. There's somebody that told me that all you need to be successful is talent, craft, and discipline. And he added, the least important is talent.
Hey, how you doing? Good to see you.
Yeah, good to
Have a
see you.
seat.
Right. Yeah, I just thought I'd drop by, and I'm going to be going out of town for a month. I'm going to manage.
Jim and I have been working together about 6 years, and what makes it a great relationship is Jim is constantly writing, and we communicate all the time.
The Sniper script, it's kind of on hold now because they're not sure if they've sent it to Stallone and he passed on it, but then is looking at it again.
I should make a note to follow up with Troy too, because we sent the script to him a couple weeks ago.
That's
See
right.
if he had a chance to read it yet. The way you get an agent is A, by writing a lot, and B, by meeting people.
This picture was taken when I was 25, and I was in Banff when I was going to film school. I was the guy that got to operate the camera because I was the only one who was able to load it. And there's a film, everybody had to make a student film, and there's a film that I made that I still don't understand. It provided me with the chance to meet a person who turned out to be a friend of mine, Phil Borsos. And the thing that's interesting about this is that Phil and I were the only two people who failed in film school, and I think that him and I were the only two that went on. The instructor actually, he took us aside and told us that we shouldn't even try this on our own. It's worked out to me a few times where I've sold some pitches at the last minute when I ran out of ideas and they had passed on every idea I had, and I came up with just some crazy thing I had in my mind, and they liked it. You know, and that's the thing that you don't ever understand about this town, is the reason that they pick the movies they do. You know, there's nobody I mean, you know, in the words of Goldman, there's nobody knows anything.